Cassandra Root was lead meteorologist at Weather Station Outpost Grendel, just 400 miles from the northern magnetic pole. She'd spent 2 winters out there, the kind of cold that makes metal cry and breath freeze mid-air. She called it peace. 3 days after her team drilled into exposed permafrost and recovered a fossilized mammoth lung, she stopped checking in. Her final message was a blurry satellite ping, just her GPS coordinates, sitting outside the compound, alone. They found her standing in the snow, no boots, no gloves, jacket unzipped, eyes wide, lips parted slightly. She was facing north, toward the sky, motionless in -30 degrees Celsius. Not stiff, not dead, just watching. At first they thought the green light wrapping around her was the aurora, but it moved wrong. Too slow, too close. It coiled from her mouth like incense, soft and rhythmic. It smelled faintly sweet, like thawing flowers. One of the men stepped forward, and she finally turned around to look at him. She smiled, and then she whispered,
"They're still dancing."
She collapsed moments later. No frostbite, no trauma, just gone. Her core temperature was -7 degrees Celsius, and still falling. The worst part wasn't the light, or the cold, or the way her skin stayed soft for hours afterward. The worst part was the camera feed they recovered from the outpost. Her final recorded moments. Cassandra wasn't alone. She was standing in the snow, smiling, laughing, reaching out, like someone was holding her hand. Some viruses burn fast and loud, hemorrhaging through the body like wildfire. Others linger, slow and silent, written deep into our DNA like forgotten footnotes from ancient pandemics. But Thalvoria Borealis is different. It doesn't invade through blood or bile. It doesn't bring fever or cough. It brings something stranger, something quieter, a kind of calm. Cassandra was in one of the coldest places on Earth, a location where no virus should thrive. But she didn't freeze to death. She cooled, gradually, peacefully, as if her body was no longer fighting to stay warm, as if it had surrendered to something beautiful. And maybe that's the horror of it, not the death, but the willingness. It's called the green veil, a virus that drapes itself across the mind before it ever leaves a mark on the flesh. A pathogen that doesn't need pain to conquer you, just stillness. Still air, still blood, still dancing. The infection began 3 days before Cassandra Root's collapse. A geothermal test drill on the outer edge of Weather Station Outpost Grendel struck a pocket of soft, preserved permafrost at a depth of 14.7 meters, unusually shallow. The team recovered what was initially believed to be a partially mineralized lung from a Paleocene mammoth, encased in ice that had never melted since the end of the last glacial period. Inside that lung, fibrous structures resembling desiccated alveoli appeared unusually well preserved. When exposed to ambient air, the specimen released a faint iridescent odor, dismissed at the time as sublimating ice crystals. The lung was placed in the station's biofreezer, but the vapor persisted. Within 6 hours, the biofreezer's temperature regulation had begun to fail. Humidity rose, the glass fogged with a green tinge. Several team members reported mild dizziness and unusual dreams the same night. 2 days later, Cassandra Root was seen walking into the blizzard, barefoot. No visible signs of a breach, no injuries, just a trail she left behind, a pattern of footprints that didn't melt at the edges, as if her body were cooler than the snow. Subsequent analysis confirmed the presence of active viral particles in the air. Samples taken from the drill site and the lab's prep area. What was first assumed to be frozen cellular debris was, in fact, a viable RNA-based life form, encoded with protein structures never before recorded. some of which were later found to share characteristics with antifreeze glycoproteins found in Arctic fish. Thalvoria borealis didn't enter through a bite, or wound, or even a cough. It entered through breath. When the team exhaled warm air into the still frozen space, the virus simply rode the heat in. The incubation period is 12 to 36 hours, depending on the host body temp and exposure time. Thermal blunting begins and subjects report comfort in freezing air. No pain from cold, their core temperature begins to drop. In stage 2, 18 to 24 hours after exposure, more severe symptoms begin. Emotional flattening, vivid dreams, hallucinations of green light, pupil dilation, and reduced response to stimuli. Stage 3 begins after 24 to 30 hours. Mitochondrial hijacking occurs and green vapor is beginning to be exhaled. The subject remains calm and is euphoric. Skin begins to feel cool to the touch. Stage 4 begins after 30 to 36 hours. The core body temperature drops below freezing, green vapor increases, subject is unresponsive but still alive. Stage 5 begins at the 36 plus hour mark. Clinical death is observed. No pulse or signs on the EEG monitor, body remains pliable and vapor emissions continue for up to 6 hours post-mortem. Some additional autopsy notes say blood appears viscous and faintly iridescent. Brain tissue shows post-mortem microactivity for up to 90 minutes. No decomposition within 72 hours is observed. A patient is quoted saying,
"It's not cold anymore. Not inside. I can hear them clearer now. They hum when I breathe. Like a lullaby. I think they want me to rest."
The cause of death is systemic hypothermia caused by mitochondrial overexertion and thermogenic failure. The host body cools from the inside out. Death occurs without trauma or resistance. Thalvoria borealis is a biphasic viral organism toggling between two states. The dormant phase, which occurs in below 5 degrees Celsius. It has a crystalline envelope and is non-replicating, inert but durable, viable in ice for thousands of years. The active phase occurs between 12 and 38 degrees Celsius. In this stage, the envelope softens, glycoproteins engage lung epithelium, and replication begins. The virus begins heat harvesting behaviors. The virus thrives in still cold adjacent environments, walk-in freezers, ice tunnels, permafrost, etc. It uses hosts' warmth for replication. Infected individuals exhibit cold-seeking behavior to prolong viral stability and spread. Green veil vapor is a liquid crystal aerosol formed during lung thermogenesis. Not truly airborne, the particles drift slowly in air and settle on cool surfaces, or is inhaled by nearby hosts in shared airspace. Its structure consists of a 13.4 kilobyte genome with high GC content and pseudo-knot structures. It is encased in an antifreeze-like envelope until warmed. The VPZ protein cassette hijacks the mitochondria. It induces uncoupled respiration for internal heat generation. The mechanism used causes heat output to accelerate viral replication. Lung tissue then forms liquid crystal filaments that are exhaled as visible green vapor. The virus is able to cross the blood-brain barrier, affecting the hypothalamus. This suppresses pain and the response to cold. It also releases dopamine, inducing euphoric calm and visual hallucinations, typically green lights, figures, and dancing. The virus is best contained by forcing reversion to the dormant crystalline phase. Heating risks activation. Fire risks aerosolization. Ambient temp must be maintained below negative 20 degrees Celsius, and air circulation should be minimum. UV sterilization is effective against surface particles. Thermal masking to prevent condensation and closed-loop breathing systems are required when in contact with this virus. Suspected exposures must undergo a 12-hour cold quarantine. If green vapor is observed, immediate sedation and flash freezing to minus 80 degrees Celsius is necessary for containment of the virus. Infected material must remain frozen. UV or sealed high heat incineration is the only way to effectively dispose of material.
We tried to freeze it. We tried to burn it.
but it didn't care. It only needed breath and time.
Not all pathogens rot the body. Some simply ask you to stop moving. Thalvoria Borealis doesn't spread through violence or panic. It doesn't tear the lungs or flood the bloodstream. It offers stillness, a strange crystalline peace. It waits for warmth, then drains it. Not as a thief, but as a guest. Gentle, patient, beautiful. Cassandra Root died smiling in the snow, wrapped in vapor that shimmered like the northern lights. A final breath that looked like wonder. But what happens when the ice melts again? What happens when the veil drifts south? I'm Archivist Nixon. If you breathe slow enough, you can hear them breathing also.